Hello, everybody, and welcome to this highway chat here. As you hear the highway in the background, I just want to say thank you for some of those who've watched all the videos. I've noticed a slight incline in the videos. Um, like I said, there's more to come. Working on a podcast with some other people in the future here. Don't know when that's happening because others are involved, but I just wanted to give you the update so you know that that is coming. Um, so it's a blessing. So continue to pray for that. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. It's new for me, and yeah, that's just something that I've been working on. Other things I just wanted to talk about is an old story that I was just remembering today as I was reflecting back on the different people and where they might be in my life, and just people back when I went to school and things like that. And, for those you don't know, I grew up in San Bernardino and went to high school there, and some of those people aren't alive, and some of those people are still alive, but they've all had very interesting and colorful lives, and I appreciate them, the ones that I still stay in contact with. But just thinking about, like, you remember certain personalities and people, but you don't remember the backstories behind some of the things that they were going through. I mean, this one kid, it was just crazy obnoxious, and then you find out like something was up at home or something like that, and it just reminded me of a story that I knew James Dobson said, but also others have said, and it's an old story, and I just kind of wanted to go through the story with you and see what your thoughts are, and just kind of share it with you. And so it really starts out with this old story of about a man who's sitting in an airport. He's sitting in the airport, and he has a bunch of kids, and he's sitting there, and another man comes along, and is a father he sees the father with all these kids, and they're just unruly and completely out of control, and the father's just looking past them. He's not even paying attention. They're super loud. They're disturbing everyone. They're just a ruckus, and they're climbing all over everything, and they're bumping into people, and people are just like, what kind of dad is this that doesn't stop this kind of a thing? The guy was sitting there watching, and he's watching him, and he starts to grow irritated and impatient as everyone's kind of making those weird eye contacts, like, what the heck is going on? How come this guy's not taking care of his children? And everybody's kind of irritated. So the one man who was sitting there next to him says, finally, he just snaps, and he says to the man, sir, can you control your children? And the guy looked up, and he was startled, and he looks up, and he's exhausted, and he quietly says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just came back from the hospital, and their mother just died, and I really don't know what to do." And just like that, everything changes in the story. Nothing about the children changes, only the story behind the story. Nothing about the facts change. The kids were unruly. They were bumping into people. And people were getting irritated, but what they didn't know was the man's story and the children's story behind the things that they see. And that's kind of where we are today, even in America and different parts of the world, is we are so kind of quick to think that we know what we see is 100% true, that we have all the facts, and that we know really what's going on in someone's heart and life. And I think that's a little off, and I think we need to press into people a little more. So the story sticks because it reminds us of something simple and hard at the same time, that compassion often requires imagination. It requires a willingness to assume that there's more going on than we can see. And you never really know what someone's just walked through. It's easy to sit in judgment seats and decide why people behave the way they do. It's just much harder to press in instead of step away, which is the tendency everybody wants, to get back away because it's messy. We're very good at crafting narratives based on just what we see, but we don't always press in and get the facts that true compassion asks for, which is to consider another person's perspective, even if we disagree with it. Even when it's uncomfortable. You see, oftentimes it's easy to back away, to just get distance, to remove that person down to a place where you can control the narrative. But is that something that we would want done to us if we were the person that were sitting in that chair? So it's easy for me to kind of imagine being the grumpy man who's like, well, dude, this guy does not control his kids. And then realizing, okay, I need to be a little bit more compassionate. But what if you were the man in the seat? Let's change the positions for a moment. A lot of us can relate to being the person judging. But what if you're the one sitting on the other seat, the one who's carrying the loss? What if people are reacting to you without knowing what you just buried, what you just lost? All of us would want to scream for compassion, that you just don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. So maybe start with a little compassion and press into people's stories. The truth is we don't want. The truth is we don't know what others lose or what others are carrying. We don't know what they've endured and what the wounds are that are behind what they're going through. And when we distance ourselves instead of pressing in, that's when things get messy, I know, but that's really what we're called to do. Pressing in is what Christ did. He didn't wait for people to be put together. He stepped towards us when we were messy, grieving, confused, and undone. So maybe the invitation from me for you is simple. Before we judge, imagine. Before we step away, consider pressing in. Because compassion doesn't change the situation. It just changes how we see the person in it. Sorry. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day.